Welcome to the Boss Mode Podcast, where we discuss AI and the future of work. Boss Mode Podcast, Halloween edition, spooky edition. We're going to talk about the spooky reality that is upon us. Fun stuff, good times, crazy times. I think Amazon announced very recently 11,000 more layoffs, and is it more than that? And what struck me about this most recent announcement about layoffs at Amazon isn't the number, because frankly the number is in line with what they've been doing in previous years and in previous announcements or unannounced layoffs even. What struck me as exceptional about this reduction in force at Amazon, and of course other big companies as well, but Amazon's CEO Andy Jassy went on record saying, this is the new reality. He's pretty much saying, get with the program. We're going to automate all of these jobs away. And I can't think of another company that will be more aggressive than Amazon in the United States when it comes to implementing automation of human jobs than Amazon, because in China they're already running dark factories, dark warehouses.
And especially after, if you remember a few years ago, all the union woes that Amazon had to deal with also and navigate on the factory floor where the pick and pack was and all that, and how that, guess what? At least not in the foreseeable future, the robots aren't unionized.
Yeah, and Bill Gates' idea of taxing the robots, I don't think that's going to come into play. The way we math businesses is, on the surface, going to look very different, but it's really more of the same. It's businesses want to maximize profit, and they should, in a way that still enables them to continue to grow and be constructive members of the ecosystem, broader ecosystem there, and not for some big kumbaya reason, but for the practical reality of you need to interact with the ecosystem around you in a way that drives longevity.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this is almost like beating a dead horse, talking more about layoffs, because they're just happening. I think the other side of the layoff is the more exciting thing. It's, what do you do when you've been laid off? What's the mindset? What are the list of things that you do? And I think that part of it is looking at your runway. How much time do you have? Because that's exceptionally important in this hiring market, where a lot of companies just aren't hiring.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting times, right? Because one thing that I am noticing across the board, my team included, and by across the board I mean within the game that I play, speaking to other agency owners, service businesses, whether that's consultancies or marketing firms, etc., is because of it, within these agencies would sit teams that buy media, teams that come up with growth strategy, dev teams even, for whether that's internal tooling or for data warehousing or any type of data, cleaning up data and then visualizing it as some type of form. What I'm noticing is a lot of conversation around, hey, have you tried this tool? ? It's beating my whole entire dev team right now. Or, hey, have you tried this one other tool? The volume and quality is, I've been playing around with it. It'll show up in my Slack or something. I've been playing around with it, and it looks like I can output volume and quality better than my editor team.
wow.
Right? Which is opinion of one for the most part, but those conversations are happening first and foremost. People at the executive level of these firms are the ones playing with the tools because of how easily accessible they are and how simple the learning curve is. Also, it's not exactly something you have to go read a user manual for. Some of them are as intuitive as an Apple product. You just go in there, type in a prompt, see what comes out. It'll enhance the prompt for you, and then, or even give you a feedback loop of how to improve that prompt. whether that's Manus AI or whether that's something like a Higgs field or a Weavy AI or a Floriform in the image generation, video generation side of things. So what ends up rising to the top seems to be the human's ability, whoever is hired, the human's ability to pitch an idea with conviction and navigate through the problems that come up with instituting that idea, right? So actually problem solve at a higher level, and then piece what might be non-associated or non-related problems to bring them together to go, okay, I know how to fix a multifactorial problem, for example, rather than just a simple one. And that's where my value seems to lie. Or that's where all these agency owners or even managers at agencies are going. Those are the people that I'm looking for and that I want to keep and that I want to groom and I want to develop, because they have the ability to interface with the other humans who make the decisions. Because right now, what the common factor is, the humans are still the one that makes the decisions. On the client side, for example, you still have to appeal to a human. So if you have, what does that mean though? What that means is, for the individuals who are a bit more quant, a bit more in the spreadsheet, dare I say, like we like to throw around in our industry, a bit more on the spectrumy side of sit with the computer, come up with a Google Ads script, play around inside of your data warehousing, your snowflakes and your DBTs and all that. And that's where you are most comfortable, but put you in front of another human and you're highly uncomfortable. And in fact, you make everyone else in that room highly uncomfortable. Someone else who, and this has stood the test of time, I think it's only going to get exacerbated. The person who is more amicable, who has an easier time stringing their words together to actually explain their thoughts and the benefit for the other people to buy into it, are the ones who are going to be viewed as more valuable by firms, by bosses, by managers, because the rest of it, all these tools are, one, readily available. Two, most of them are very aggressively acquiring new customers, so have a very generous free tier and also a very generous lower tier. And I'm sitting there going, oh boy, these conversations are really starting to ramp up. Like this has only been the last 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, and these companies that are offering this fully automated, AI driven, so AI first, generous free tier solutions in the ad industry, I think that they'll have a hard time competing at the higher end of the market where, yes, the human touch is valued, but also simply because there is a sophistication that comes from the most experienced, top of the game, top 1% humans in any given industry. And I have to wonder that, are the top 1% resting on their laurels or being overconfident right now because today they're still differentiated enough? Or should they be a little bit more concerned? And I think playing that same game of appealing to the quant, appealing to like the need to drive performance, letting their performance speak first, as opposed to letting their reputation speak first. And by that, why not also offer a generous free tier where it's the performance that speaks for itself and the human expert, they try to scale their ability to impact the number of customers. And the way that they do that is they string together a series of prompts and context loads, input context. So they create these playbooks around their own expertise and leverage AI to do a lot of the grunt work and plow through their expertise in their own process, their SOP, very quickly, very efficiently, so that they can afford to offer a generous free tier.
Yeah. I think it's anyone's game right now. It really is, for the most part, doors have been kicked wide open
Yeah.
for new players to jump in there, for incumbents to. Didn't McKinsey recently? Were they the firm that said that they've axed a whole bunch of
20,000 people,
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
axed a whole bunch of consultants. McKinsey, by and large, you're not having a bunch of manual labor in there. These are all consultants for the most part. Admin also,
They've
and
always been inventing work to
sure,
find decisions that have
they're a
already been made.
consulting firm after all. We all, for the most part, know how that game is played. But
House of Lies. House of Lies. Was that on Apple TV? House of Lies. It's a dramatized series about consultants, top
right,
tier consultants.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's I don't. Without extrapolating too much into the future and playing the guessing game, what I am seeing currently is, I think, it just indicative of where, if we extrapolate out where all these agency owners' heads are at, it's, I have these tools that allow me to run a lean team, which then allow me to generate more net profit. The bottom line is healthier because my operational expenses are lower, while my efficiency, my output is perceivably higher.
I think that's the key here because the compounding effects of being more efficient, moving faster right now, to apply your expertise at massive speed, incredible velocity, what that does is it gives you the ability to improve and grow your reputation much more quickly. And of course, yeah, you've got different unit economics and therefore you're able to be more efficient and have like transformational pricing. For example, the free tier. And I wonder, I hate to put you on the spot, but have you ever invested in a client? So you run a successful direct-to-consumer digital advertising agency, Right Hook Digital, a fantastic reputation. I imagine there's a big difference between a client who has skin in the game, they're paying for it, and so they're motivated to get their creative assets ready, get you the things you need in order to drive performance for them. But are there clients where you just think, hey, this guy's onto something, I'm just going to sign them, and together we're going to succeed? Have there been situations like that where you almost invest in a client?
I've invested in a client more so from a reputational risk perspective. So take them on, even though they might be pre-product market fit.
Okay.
It worked out super well. It's the Luggage company is now like a 9-figure company.
Nice. Which luggage?
Yeah, so this is July Luggage. This is July Luggage.
And what was it about July Luggage pre-product market fit that made you want to work with them?
One seasoned operators, right? Richard, at the time, Richard was a second or third time founder. That was his second or third venture. And his previous ventures were also direct to consumer majority sales channel, right? The predominant sales channel. And in bulky goods as well. So it's not as though he was selling jewelry and then jumped over to luggage, for example, where bulky goods is a completely different thing. So that's number one. Number two, good for them. God bless them. I love them so much. And Ethan really brought the design and branding aspect to the thing. So from a product and from a procurement and business vision standpoint, we had that. And then on the other side, from a product standpoint and branding standpoint, they had that too. So it really came together really extremely nicely. Yeah, that's them. And by the way, if for anyone who's watching this, July Luggage notoriously have never participated in Black Friday to provide, like, they never discount. Never ever discount. Historically, the most you could get out of Black Friday is a free embossing of your name on your luggage. Right? So they were very clear about that. When they
I've never come across this brand before. This is my first time hearing about it. This was not planned at all, but I landed on the July Luggage website. I scrolled through. I think their stuff looks neat. What really caught my eye, where did it go? The pass-through split, here it is, carry-all split weekender. This thing here looks seriously cool. It's sleek and just functionally, having it split open like the roller luggage, that's fantastic. I want one of these.
There you go.
I'm getting one.
Yo, Richard, just got you some. Send me my affiliate payout. So these guys, so investing in that type of a way, and this was very early on in the firm. This was maybe year one, year two of running the firm, between year one, year three. In terms of hard cash, like a cash investment into a firm, never did that play, even though there have been several agency owners that were telling me that's definitely one way to go. Go in there, get in early, and then you'll get equity in the company. The problem is, if the only way to my mind, the only way it'll work is if it is majority equity, controlling rights. Here's why. Most of our clientele are either first-time founders, or even if it's their second venture, their first venture was one where it got a few $100,000 annual revenue and they flipped it on like empireflipit.com or one of those sites. And due to the nature of the D2C game, it's not as if there are going to be multiple raises in a short, compressed amount of time, where there are liquidity events for early investors to potentially exit. So what ends up happening is, and I've had pals who have gone down this rabbit hole and ended up with nothing to show for it, where they will go, yeah, we'll invest in this brand, the other one, we see the potential here, so we'll either subsidize our fee or we'll front the ad spend, etc. And for points, by the way, for equity.
Yeah.
And no liquidity event on the horizon whatsoever.
Yeah.
And
Now, how many of these plays did they make typically? Is that one or two, three?
some of them went all in. Yeah, some of them went all in and went, this is the future. And I go, buddy. And then some would be a bit more sporadic in their approach.
Okay.
Now, profit share, okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
Or a hybrid, where it's profit share and
like
equity.
royalties.
Yeah, that can work as well.
Now, if you were to, let's expand this a little bit, because I have a feeling that there might be a world where, and I know nothing about running an agency, so if I'm taking
You're not missing
a
anything, don't worry.
ridiculous direction, just smack me down. I wonder if there was a way for you to, let's say, you've got these potential rocket ship direct-to-consumer brands, and let's say there are like 10 that you're looking at, and among these 10, or let's say there are 100 that you're looking at, say you've got like perfect access to data at massive scale for 100 direct-to-consumer brands or 1,000 direct-to-consumer brands. So that's your top of funnel. These are your leads that come in. And among those, if there's a way for you to evaluate them, to decide, hey, this is a brand worth doing a revenue share type deal with, or a royalty deal with, how would you assess that? If there was a way for you to, is there a series of AI prompts that you'd put them through? Is there a series of questions you'd ask them? What kind of information would you gather to then put into a series of AI prompts to assess them and whittle it down to 10? And then you think, okay, these 10 or these 5 are high conviction. We want to work with them on a royalty basis because we think this is a rocket ship.
To assess the business, that part's easy. You look at whether they're jumping onto a timely trend, whether the trend is going to have a sustained shelf life. As an example, right now, if you happen to provide any type of supplements around, GLP-1 is going to stick around for a hot minute. It's not going to go away anytime soon. So if you provide supplements around that to say, hey, you are a GLP-1 user, you understand that you don't only shed your fat, you also shed muscle. You don't want that. You don't want to waste away and look like Skeletor. Take these supplements so that you also retain your tone. Your body looks like it's toned instead of wasting away. You don't want the survivor bod. You want the beach bod. That's why you're taking GLP-1. So here are some supplements to be able to do that, right? Business side, great. Have a look at the data. That's what we do anyway whenever we perform any kind of diagnostics. But just any good VC will tell you, the founders are the primary ingredient. Okay. So we've had on-paper rocket ships before that turned into absolute garbage fires because founders made silly decisions, either because they're first-time founders or because it's the first, they might be a multiple-time founder, but it's their first time at that level of success.
Okay.
And D2C is a delicate game.
Is this like a matter of founders that are going out and buying Ferraris and ruining?
We've had that. We've had that before, where several AMGs started showing up on Instagram. Several, by the way.
Yep.
And it was coming out of the business American Express.
Yeah.
Right. So there's that. And again, if you're a minority shareholder, or if you're in a profit share, the maximum extent of your control around that is a stern talk. For the most part, you have no voting rights. There's not much recourse there besides, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Especially if it's profit share too, because that's after all that, then the profit comes out. So there's that. There's also then D2C is a game with when you get to a certain scale, the margin of error starts to decrease. The level of forgiveness starts to decrease. So we've also had situations where overextension occurs to go, oh, we managed to sell 1,000 units in, let's say, a week, right? We managed to sell 1,000 units in a week. Ooh, the next time we did a launch, we managed to sell out of 2,500 units in a week, and we've got all these orders for people that, because it's sold out, they were having messages saying, we want this, opt-ins for that. Let's go out, and for the next purchase order, let's purchase 10,000. We're so confident that it's going to sell. Look at all this data. Look at all the soft metrics.
Over-investing in inventory.
The intent is there. And then the next run comes around, and because of a misfire of timing, or the campaign wasn't as successful as before, or the market's moved along, you've managed to sell 20% of that, and now you're sitting on 80% that you're paying for warehouse space for, that now you have trouble moving, and you then go, okay, do we need a deep discount to move this stock? How does that impact our cash conversion cycle? What happens in the next purchase order? And people start losing their bearings. And then there are the other ones that feel like they're on an upward trajectory, maybe doing 5 figures, moving on to 6 figures a month, and receive an email about receiving capital. So we've had founders do that as well. And
too much revenue-based financing. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Factoring.
So then they go out and get like a Shopify loan, and the terms look like they are very founder friendly.
No, the interest rates are very high.
Yeah.
And there are situations where it makes sense. If you're absolutely confident in your next run, you've built up a ton of latent demand, and it's truly about accelerating your next inventory.
If you're a savvy operator,
cycle.
essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it comes down to the operator. Like for the most part, or the way that we like to say it, I like to talk about it with the team, is we assess the vehicle, but we assess the driver even more.
Yeah.
So you could have a turbo McLaren season-winning vehicle, but if the driver isn't a savvy operator, they'll crash it in 5 seconds.
Yeah. You could put Nico Hulkenberg in a beat-up Toyota, and you could put me in an F1 car, and he'd beat me around the circuit.
For sure. Yeah, exactly. Well, people like us shove into an F1 car, they'll have to peel us off the side of the wall.
Right.
It's not even a race. Nico Hulkenberg would probably stay at the starting line, not move, let you go off, and go, I'll win just by default. Because this guy's probably going to have to get peeled off of a wall. This thing is an absolute rocket if he doesn't know how to harness it. So to your point, for the most part, that is the difficulty. To that point, that's what I was describing earlier. For one human to sit in front of another and as accurately as possible assess the capability of that person, or assess the words to say to get buy-in from that person. AI hasn't caught up to that part just yet. I've seen several projects try, where like the real-time AI sales coach, for example, where you just turn on a Chrome extension or some type of a plugin, a sales conversation is happening, and as low latency as possible, the product will give you certain prompts or lines to repeat back.
Yeah.
The difficulty with that is if you are just a rote person or you are the meat that is put in the middle of the brain, which is actually the AI, and you're not activating your brain in that conversation. When a curveball question comes up and the AI cannot feed you something, you end up back in square one, or even worse, losing the sale. So that human touch, to your point, I think it's starting to surface where the value lies there.
The reason why I dig into this through the lens of your business is actually because in Vanka's business, one of the things that I've been toying with is the idea of setting up an investment fund where it would be the Vanka Seed Fund 1, and we would invest in our customers' businesses, cold hard cash, plus in-kind. So a combination of the two. And I think it would do a couple of things. One, I think that it helps raise awareness of Vanka and the idea of the post-employment economy and how to navigate that. I think that it also is like these are not token, but they're humble in terms of the size of investment. But I think that with a small amount of dollars, you can actually put a dent in the universe, really, where you raise less, but you're able to do more because you're using these AI-enabled tools. You look at Y Combinator, for example. Today, I think it's something like 80-90% of Y Combinator founders today are using AI to code their applications. And similarly, I think that through Vanka's initial scaffolding of an idea, vetting the idea, doing the business assessment, etc., we set them up for success in vibe coding in a way that just dropping in cold into Cursor or Claude Code or what have you, it's just a better experience with higher probability of success, at least when it comes to getting to a prototype. So I'm thinking, what can we do to evaluate a large number of businesses autonomously, where we don't have to have a human involved in the process? And part of what got me excited about this idea, what inspired me, is I think it was the Norwegian Sovereign Wealth Fund. They started using AI to make investment decisions. And they found that it outperforms human portfolio managers, because human portfolio managers come with biases and some less than ideal characteristics.
Like hangovers, for example.
Right, yeah. AI is not going to have a hangover. It will hallucinate, but there are measures that you can put in place to countermeasures for hallucination. But you try to put in an anti-hangover condition, and then you're going to have some employment relations board coming after you.
Totally. Yeah, that's I've seen that model work in a pre-AI age world. I've seen that model work where, primarily in software, where you have effectively venture studios.
Yeah.
So they'll go in, they'll build your app, they'll come up with your go-to-market strategy, they'll come up with some assets, et cetera, et cetera. And for the most part, it's a hybrid of sweat equity as well as for a reduced fee.
Yep.
There's still a fee, but it's sweat equity for a reduced fee, so to speak. So yeah, absolutely, there are ways to do that. I think it just comes down to the biggest variable of success would be still the founder aspect, right? Because I think that's the part. Definitely, I think the rest of it algorithmically to then go, let's assess the various different businesses that are Vanka users. I think 100% for sure. But I think, as any accelerator knows, if you're running a cohort of predominantly first-time founders, they're usually the ones who will crash the F1 car.
It's what you do after crashing the car that matters, and can you survive the crash?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking of doing this 100% autonomously, where we do not have humans involved in the decision-making process at all. And that allows us to scale and ingest a very large number of, one, prospective founders, but two, a very large volume of data, like the fire hose of data about each founder and each business concept at a very early stage that we'd be able to process through large language models vastly exceeds that which a human would be able to evaluate. And so my hypothesis here is that we'd hit quite a few, certainly base hits, which will drive runs.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I'm looking forward to watching the Blue Jays game today. Watch them spank the Los Angeles Dodgers. Although I am a Shohei Ohtani fan.
I have never been to a live game in my life.
So the last live game that I went to was in Los Angeles. I watched Shohei Ohtani. He stepped up to the plate and whack, home run. And before that, so that was in the past kind of 12 months. Before that, my last game was 1993 World Series. Joe Carter, whack, home run, World Series. So it'll be nice to see Toronto pull in. My prediction, my Halloween prediction for you LA Dodgers fans, Toronto, 9 innings this time. Not a ton of drama because it's just going to be taking care of business. World Series. Game 6.
All right.
6 and done.
We heard it here first. 6 and
in
done.
Toronto.
Oh, boy. All right. Better step up, boys.
I'm excited about this game. Hey, I saw something interesting. A video about the Neo home robot.
The 1X?
And it got me.
By 1X? Yeah.
Take a look at this here. And I love the way that they did their concept images here, where you've got an older fella here with his arm around the Neo. It makes the Neo robot feel less intimidating.
Very non-threatening.
Behind those beady eyes, you've actually got somebody offshore controlling the robot.
Yeah. Yeah, and
that's actually, I think, okay, because if we think about it, there are hotels now that are doing the check-in with offshore, I don't know, is it in the Philippines or in India? You've got somebody offshore that is managing the check-in process at hotels using a kiosk. And similarly, I think that if we think about the cost of doing this kind of housekeeping, you're probably looking at what, in the US, what, $20, $25, $30 an hour? It's actually quite a bit of money. And instead, you could have a robot that is remotely controlled by somebody in Manila.
Yeah.
And now you're paying $3 an hour, $5 an hour, which is a bargain.
It absolutely, my head, I don't know, maybe I'm just a fucked up individual. My head goes immediately to a whole bunch of Black Mirror scenarios. Maybe my filmmaker background, I don't know. Just the tech optimist side goes, that sounds amazing. There are a ton of people who would absolutely need this type of help at home for various different reasons, health-wise or whatever it might be. And if it's affordable and broadly accessible, amazing. And yes, I read all the comments and threads around how it's not truly autonomous. You pre-order now, it can do 2 things autonomously. The rest of it is someone offshore effectively driving it.
Which I don't mind. If I'm able to pay $3 to $5 an hour, that's pretty good.
See, David, here's the thing, David. You are let's do a barometer check, a litmus test. When you interface with LLMs, do you say please? Because I do. I'm like, can you please do this? Or yes, please,
thank you. Okay, I see where you're going with this. Okay,
right?
Yeah, because you could have people like being assholes to call center workers in some remote country because
now you just armed a call center worker with something and I don't know like what type of pneumatic. I don't know if you're arming call center workers
striking force
with a real life Rock'em Sock'em robot. I don't know how would they control it? Would it
remote
be
operators that are trained in jiu-jitsu?
Would it be a PlayStation controller? Because if it feels like a game for the call center person, they'd be like, no, fuck this guy, drop kick.
I think this is how we encourage polite interaction or civil interaction with your Neo home robot. You tell them that the remote operators are all in like Thailand and they're all trained in Muay Thai.
Fair. And here's the reason why I bring it up, though, right? Because my wife's best friend is studying to be an art therapist.
Okay.
And in the meantime, she is working in, right now, disability care. And so every once in a while she'll come over to we'll have her over, her and her partner over for like lunch or dinner or just to hang out over a weekend. And she would tell us some of the stories and how's the job going. And this is a fairly new job, working in disability care. She deeply cares about working, and for her it's almost like a calling, right? Much less a job. And she goes, boy, it's been a hard week. I got assigned these 2 new clients. One of them, and she'll tell stories, paralyzed from the waist down, right? But isn't, and she'll, in her words, but she's an absolute cunt of a human. And I'm just like, wow, really? Tell me more. Because I would imagine that if I don't have use of my body and someone, a government assigned person comes over to help me in my home, I'd enjoy the company. I'd be like, hey, so tell me about your life. You get to be out there. Did you go to the beach? Hey, can we go to the beach? But apparently, my wife's friend saying, this is just really, it just wore me that I had to be there for 6 hours. I had stuff thrown at me. I got talked down to and all that type of stuff. And I go, wow, is that common? She goes, it's not uncommon, because they feel so like angsty. That's their life situation. And so they just, it's rotating doors, because you just get assigned who you get assigned. You don't feel like you have agency over your own life even. Your family members aren't here to spend time with you or help you. That's why you got to deal with these people. So if I don't have to see you in 2 weeks' time because I'm going to get assigned someone else, well, I have to be nice to you. And now put a domestic robot that has like possibly superhuman strength, but definitely metal parts inside, and arm like a foreign like call center
Well, not
version
necessarily
with
metal parts inside.
Fair.
Not necessarily, yeah. But
Fair.
think that this is an intermediary step, right? Where we have these remote controlled robots. The next evolution of it is what Elon Musk is working on, and what we see evolving very quickly in China and in Japan and in South Korea, advanced robotics, autonomous robotics that are powered by these local large language models or even small language models. I think that the humans that are being served by these, like the clients, the end user of these services, like in-home services, if you lack the humanity to interface civilly as a human with some fundamental respect with this person who comes into your home to assist you, that to me is a perfect example of, if we still want to provide services to those people, let's limit it to robots, because why put humans in the line of fire?
Sure. Yeah.
You're sending in these robots to defuse bombs, and right? It's the same thing, I think.
Yeah, but then you've got that potential counter argument, which is those are the people who need the human interaction the most.
So I don't think that we're obligated to.
Sure, but no.
There is, at some point, if we keep devolving, at some point, there is agency, right? There is individual responsibility, and that individual who has dropped their own level of self-respect, really, so far, there is responsibility on that individual to level up your ability to interact civilly to some basic levels, so that your wife's friend.
And I think that's this is not so much my personal opinion or stance on it, because I don't have one, but rather I can see that getting locked up in the realm of public debate, or for that person who is at a low point, who does not have that agency. Throwing a robot in there, they won't have any aha moments to even pull themselves up to that next level. So having other humans,
I think we're underestimating what large language models can do, because I think that the large language model might have a higher probability of success in drawing out the humanity of an individual who is that far gone.
But potentially, however, what is that social theory called? Thin slicing, which is, so let me actually see if I can pull it up somewhere.
Thin slicing refers to the ability to make accurate judgments and decisions based on a very narrow window of experience, or a thin slice of information. This psychological concept is about finding patterns in events and people using limited data.
So it effectively snap judgments that taint and inform the entire rest of the relationship. So if you have an individual like that, and a robot shows up, the thin slice of, oh, this is just a robot, might then taint the rest of that experience because it's not a human. Because I think for maybe the technologically savvy, we go, oh, this is so much more than just a hunk of metal wrapped around in some canvas with a very non-threatening face. But for some others, I guess it's no different to, it's the exaggerated version of this is if you're all those movies where the aliens show up and humans go, we want to go communicate with the aliens, but we also need to defend ourselves, and a bunch of people with guns show up and the aliens are just like, oh, I see what's happening here, and you just start blasting. So that initial thin slice taints the rest of the whole thing. So without belaboring this point too much, I see a lot of value, absolutely, in robots in homes, because a home can mean so many different things. It could mean one solo person. This happens a lot in Singapore as well, where a lot of the elderly are left in single unit government housing, and their kids don't take care of them anymore. So it's back when I was a fireman, there were so many sad cases where we would find out that one of them had passed because of the smell, right? So a robot in that home makes absolute sense. Homes could be typical traditional hetero parents and 3 kids also. I'm sure if you tell those parents, hey, you want a robot where the iPad is on the robot's chest and they can sit down in front of your kid and your kid can play and you can go have a nice chill Netflix night. Or a household could be like that one lady who's lost the use of her legs and is just feels like she has to talk down to other people. So many meanings, right? The part that I have, so I'm not saying I'm not debating whatsoever the robots part and putting that part down, but giving a call center person offshore a PlayStation controller, because they will hear the instructions and get told what to do. And if they're just like, screw this guy, every time I show up, yeah, exactly, just be like, where's the grenade mode? Grenade mode.
Mortality.
Yeah.
Fatality. It's
right.
Mortal Kombat. Fatality.
I think that's the part. And why am I bringing this up? I used to work at a call center when I was 16 years old, 16 years old, through Y2K. This was in Singapore, and Y2K was resetting all the customers' bills to show a century's worth of extrapolated per month billing.
Wow.
And so they hired a bunch of whoever we can hire. Let's hire them right now. Pay them $8 an hour, 18 for overtime. I still remember the pay. I was so excited. And to play the defensive line and explain to you, I got called all kinds of names. They didn't know I was a 15-year-old on the other side. Yep. And I at certain times, I threw the names right back at them. And my manager had to come and give a talk to me. Now, if you gave me...
Because you're 15 years old.
Right. If you gave me, 15-year-old, a controller like that, I'd be like, send it. I'm just going to accidentally...
The thing is, at 15 years old, if you're having crap shoveled on you like that, I think that a healthy response is to lash out.
For sure.
I'm not advocating for violence or anything, but at some point, 15-year-old kid should not have to deal with that stuff. And like you did for whatever reasons, right? You were excited about the money, as a 15-year-old should be, like $18 an hour. And these days, no, I think 15-year-olds wouldn't be excited by that. But
totally,
like whatever that equivalent number is, inflation adjusted, that's something that a 15-year-old would be excited by. And I think that being in that situation, the company, I think, has responsibility if you've got 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds there to take into consideration that you throw enough shit at a 15-year-old and they're going to lash out. That makes sense.
Yeah, totally, for sure. Because here's the other question.
You can't grow up to be a well-adjusted adult if at the age of 15 somebody starts cursing at you and you don't stand up for yourself.
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is what was it, like a month ago? We shared the Figure 1, right? We screen shared that, and then now there's the Neo by 1X. I'm interested to see the non-humanoid form type robots.
I'm actually more interested in humanoid form, but small, about this big. Because if you have the manual dexterity of a tiny human, like you've got Oompa Loompas running around, mini Oompa Loompas inside of your pipes. Imagine how effectively you've got a mini Oompa
Holy
Loompa that goes behind
snap.
your TV to unplug all these small places.
Yeah, to reach around that HDMI cable that you can never reach
Yeah.
because you've installed it. I did not even think about that.
Miniature the Oompa Loompas.
Sure, sure.
AI robotic Oompa Loompas. I think that is where it's at.
That is wild.
But yeah, I agree. Like non-humanoid form factors also makes a lot of sense because going back to the plumbing analogy, in the pipe, if you've got like a micro robot that has like spinning blades, razor
Yeah,
sharp,
right.
and it's got like you've got this obstruction of people because people throw all sorts of stuff down their plumbing systems, right? Down
Yeah.
the drain, and it just grinds away at it, or it takes like a mini machine gun at it.
Yeah, no, totally. And then because it's AI enabled, it regulates its own intensity of the blade, slows down at certain points, or figures that this part might be damaging the pipe if it goes any harder. Yeah,
Yep. And if we
wild.
think about the war in Ukraine, with all the drone tech, imagine if you could parachute in a bunch of those. Remember those little dark green army robots?
Yeah, yeah,
In Toy Story 2. What if we could
totally.
parachute in a bunch of little micro humanoid robots?
That is actually really. I did not even consider that at all.
Oompa
That's
Loompas, it's where it's
wild.
at. You heard it here first.
No kidding. No.
And I was thinking about home and office, like structural design. I think that we could even have hollow walls where it's like service quarters, right? And that would be where all the Oompa Loompas are running around inside of that. You could have 1,000 Oompa Loompas in your house. They're
Right.
running around inside the walls, and they're like these egress points where they come out and they do their task and they run back in.
Crazy.
Yep.
Crazy.
Oompa Loompas, mini Oompa Loompas will be scrubbing the toilets. They will be scrubbing the floors. They will be repairing your electronics. They'll go inside the TV to repair it. They'll go inside your iPhone to repair it.
And do you wear a? And so again, I'm really showing like how dark my brain is. And do you wear like a pendant necklace with a master kill switch? Just because I'm just imagining 200 malfunctioning Oompa Loompas inside of my home, and I'm just going, do I have to manually switch each one of them off? I've seen how those movies end.
EMP.
Yeah, this like just yeah, totally, totally. The wow, no kidding. That is yeah, climbing into your car, or like servicing, like to service parts from a because of the form factor, they can go in all these tight spots, and because there are
Yep.
multiple of them, and because it's a master-slave relationship potentially, the master objective is dictated, and then each of them move in synchronicity.
Let's go
Wild.
Pixar on this. In Big Hero 6, where Baymax was there, you also had the protagonist of the movie come up with the invention of those little like tiny little, were they circles, spheres or something?
Yeah,
But they all
right.
assembled into, like they were effectively voxels, and they would assemble into whatever shape. So these Oompa Loompas might combine like those multiple Transformers
Like
toys
Transformers. Right.
yeah, stacked together to create a giant robot.
That's wild.
Interesting times ahead.
My
Among
kid.
us, like we interesting times. We live in interesting times. So goes the curse.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking about interesting times, I saw something interesting show up in my chat GPT. OpenAI browser's out. Have you played
Yeah,
it yet?
yeah.
I haven't played
I
it yet.
think so. I haven't either. I should have by now. It's irresponsible of me. I should. But I've been working with Comet browser for a while, and I think that actually it was like the security risk of using these browsers is, I think, it's not insubstantial. So I think like a degree of caution is warranted. But that being said, I think it's certainly worth playing around with. I did some crazy stuff. Like you could circumvent captchas with these things. You can like just so much. You can
Yes.
automate
Yeah.
entry into contests. You could have it watch videos for you and summarize them. Just a lot of actions that you can take autonomously inside the web browser. You could have go shopping for you. I think that again, frictionless shopping I think is coming, where the agents, I think the economy might even transform completely, like beyond the autonomous browser. if every single one of us has our own AI agent, it could be that our agents negotiate with the rest of the world and there are no more storefronts, right? In the traditional sense, but be it online or offline. And these
Yes.
agents, unless they're experiential storefronts, experiences that we want
Sure.
to physically be in, I think that a lot of commerce is going to shift towards just perfect information, where my agent does the research, negotiates with not necessarily the retailer, but the individual who is creating the product, and my agent negotiates, maybe scopes it out. We get to this custom perfect solution for me. My agent then pitches it to a few thousand other people around me that my agent knows to share similar characteristics with me, and we then group by a custom production run of sneakers, let's say, that are perfect for us, 1,000 people. Because you have to think there are 1,000 people that want the same sneakers that I do.
Ooh, so AI Groupon? Startup idea?
Yeah, there we go, AI Groupon.
Bring Groupon, bring back Groupon, make Groupon great again. Yeah, fascinating. Because that was, for a while there, that was what Zuckerberg was campaigning around. He's not a politician or anything, but he showed up on several podcasts and interviews
He
talking
once
about.
upon a time might have been a politician.
For real?
I think that he was being floated. It looked like he was campaigning, like he was doing a tour across the United States and doing all
Right.
politician-y stuff, and yeah. So maybe he was dipping his toe in the water to see if he could be the next president of the United States.
Right. Boy, wild. And for a while there on pods, he was talking about his vision for every Meta user to have their own agent, because their agent already knows so much about Meta already knows so much about your preferences, that if you then opt into a Meta agent, the commerce, to your point, the commerce and all that, like so much of the intuition is already baked into the parent company about you as the user. So he didn't go so far as to say those things, but the point he was trying to make was, imagine if every small business had their own agent. And then the extrapolation from that is, imagine if each user had an agent that does your shopping for you, etc. And if you don't like the product, you just issue a return. That part works, which already happens on Amazon, where like notoriously one of the highest return rate verticals on Amazon is fashion. So hardly any of fashion brands are crushing it on Amazon, because the return rate is just so astronomically high. Because what people will do is, I don't know my sizing with this company, so I'll buy a small, a medium, a large, and an XL. I'll keep the one that, if I like the size, I'll keep it, and I'll return the rest. And if I don't like it, I'll return all of it.
Yeah. I think it's probably hard for Meta to talk too much about their roadmap, their grand vision for agentic AI for small businesses or for businesses and for consumers. But extending from what you described last week, Meta has something very close to perfect information about you as a consumer, me as a consumer. And so Meta they can probably predict to some ridiculous, I don't know what the percentage is, but it's a probability beyond what you or I would expect. They can predict if we're going to buy something.
Yes. Personally, for me though, what Meta knows about me is so inaccurate. It's not even funny. Because
Could that be because you've got so many direct-to-consumer clients, and maybe
I've only purchased stuff through paid social. Let me say another way. I've never purchased a physical product through a paid social ad.
Interesting.
In my entire adult life, for myself.
Okay.
I've only purchased to research verticals.
Interesting.
So it knows.
It's got like very skewed information about you.
It's got very skewed information about me. And
you poisoned the well.
I have, in a way, or I've just like misguided. I'm feeding the data that I'm feeding back.
But you're like an extreme outlier.
Yes, I am.
For a typical user of Meta, of Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially if you aren't like some kind of sociopath like me. I have multiple Instagram accounts and multiple TikTok accounts, so that I tweak the algorithm so I have a fashion only account. I have a
Yep.
skincare only, like a beauty only account. It posts,
Oh,
so it posts nothing, but I tweak my engagement so that my For You, all of it is in that realm. So I get nerdy in that type of way.
I want to dig into maybe in our next episode, something to look forward to. I'd like to learn more about what you do in direct to consumer and how you advise your clients and the kind of work you do with clients.
Yeah.
Let's do that next week. I'll bring some hypothetical clients or something to the table, and we'll play through that.
Yeah,
But
for
hey,
sure.
this was a good episode. I think we covered a lot of interesting ground.
Man,
I
anytime I get to sit down with you and pick your brain and hear about your take on things and what's going on and share mine and see how you respond to that, it's always a good old time for me. If people watching this and listening to this happen to get some value too and feel like they were in the room with us having a good time, that's a win for me.
Yeah, sounds good. Dee, I hope you have a wonderful Saturday morning,
Thanks,
and
man.
happy Halloween.